comments about the quote-unquote squad, namely his attempts to incite racial racism by evoking the "go back home" trope that we used to joke about as being like as the racist stereotype of the 1960s. And now they're legitimized in racist stereotype. We're not even in 2020 yet, and we've just brought it back in fucking style. It's just Meanwhile, Elizabeth Warren still can't figure out whether or not that's racism or not. Which I suppose shouldn't be. Which I want to say isn't too surprising, given the fact that she can't even figure out what her own ethnicity is. But I feel. But in retrospect, but even just saying that leaves a really dirty taste in my mouth. So I'm not going to particularly dwell on that too much. However, it is kind of telling that of the presidential candidates, I've only seen a relative handful actually speak out about Trump's comments, and I'm not sure what that says about the state of the Democratic Party. Either the fact that more presidential candidates aren't speaking out against this, or if it is really that sectional. Because regardless of the Democrats in the House's attempts to sort of gloss this over and look like they're standing with the squad against racist bigotry, the reality is that the squad is actually pretty. As much as I hate agreeing with Nancy Pelosi on fucking anything, they are isolated. They are isolated, and Donald Trump has now put them in the awkward corner of having to defend people that they hate. And the Democrats are now stuck with a mixed signal.
I hesitate. I try to stay away from these topics. I really do because
no.
I do, but I mean, there's no question that what Trump said, you go back where you came from, was racially, that was awful. But I do want to say this, and it doesn't excuse anything. It's just that there's all this just horrible vitriol from both sides, and I understand that the majority of the people believe the Russiagate stuff But you remember Rashida Tlaib? Am I pronouncing the one from? She's from Michigan, right? I think she's from Michigan. Her, when she won, she says, "Impeach the motherfucker." I mean, I'm not saying that does not excuse what Trump said in any way. I'm just saying, the nasty, horrible rhetoric is coming from a lot of places. And, it's almost like, the elementary school playground of only it's worse. But it's like this person says this and then this person says this. And it's horrible. But I don't know. I just, I wasn't happy when I heard her say that either because.
Well, who's appealing? Which of the candidates are appealing then?
No. We're talking specifically about the current progressive wing of the congressional caucus. As far as the presidential candidates, it's I won't. I'm not trying to necessarily speak ill of them, but my hopes for them are not particularly high.
I went up to all of the campaigns in Cedar Rapids, and Biden's campaign wasn't there. But I'm going to the booth on Tuesday or Wednesday for the my county's Democratic Party, and I got signs for all the party, or all the different campaigns to put up in our booth. I was accosted by the Warren supporters because I had a Tulsi sign, and they were offended that Tulsi was not a woman of color like Warren and Harris were, and that the next president has to be a woman of color.
What? This is why I tuned this out.
Not colored. What do you think people put on it?
There's this magnificent. This
of course,
is like two things. One, this is a fantastic demonstration of how the Dunning-Kruger effect can fuck you over in real life. The second is that this is what I call the liberal bubble of mass projection.
Yeah, really. Oh my God.
Say what you will. I've said plenty about what I think conservative opinions on race and gender, but none the least of which is their opinions in the LGBT community. But this just highlights how fucking airheaded liberals, especially those whose main consortium of news comes from places like MSNBC or CNN,
right?
And or just a random thought bubble on Facebook. And
I want to actually.
How can you be this fucking uneducated? Like this is not new news
because it's America. So I want to share something. Okay, so Alice, you're probably going to know more. I mean, I have completely tuned out mainstream media. I know that you, at least, like your parents, watch it, and maybe some other people can fill me in if I'm not. If I'm missing something. I want to share this.
I will say this: I was super pissed at having to watch through Michael Isikoff. Last week.
Did you hear?
I did see a bit of the consortium news and.
Do you know I argued with him directly at Left Forum? Did I tell that last week? Or whenever?
No, you didn't. I want to fucking hear about this one.
Oh, yes, I did.
Please tell me this was recorded.
You know what? Okay, hang on. I'm going to stop share. I'll tell the story.
If we have the confidence, the president.
I told this on Jamal's show, and he made a little 12-minute clip of me talking about it. But no, I cannot believe this happened. So I ended up live streaming the a different panel that had Jordan Sheridan and Katie Halper and Aaron Matei. And of course it was available on YouTube. So I was torn for another session whether to go to this thing on capitalism with Richard Wolff or to go to Randy Credico's thing, Mueller and Me, and Michael Isikoff was in there. And so I ended up going to that. But I decided not to live stream because when you're sitting there holding your phone like this, it becomes a little distracting. Like I wanted to just be present, and I thought, and there were people in there with cameras, so I thought it'll be up on wherever on YouTube. No, those people were doing a documentary on Randy Credico, and so there is no footage. I can't get it. I asked Randy. I've asked him directly since then, and he's like, they're not going to give it up. I'm like, damn it. Because I was, okay, so the argument with Isikoff, what started off, of course, the whole Russiagate thing came up. And so at the very beginning, I said, first of all, the premise that, so I got off on the foot where, Isikoff was kind of giving me the eye right from the beginning. Because I said, first of all,
that means he knows about you.
No, it was just what I said. First off, I said this notion that Trump won just because of WikiLeaks is nonsense, and that completely ignores the anti-establishment sentiment that was going on. And somebody have something playing there. Anyway, so I kind of got. One of the guys that had the microphone, I saw him kind of like, he knew what I was saying, like that was, I was speaking truth there. But Isikoff was not too pleased with me saying that. And then I got into the whole the VIPS team, the Nation article that was the debate, between whether it's a leak or a hack, right? Yeah. And sorry, I'm distracted because there's feedback or something happening here. Does somebody have Rich, do you have anything up playing?
No.
Okay. It's all right. So anyway, three other guys in the room were kind of arguing with him about it too, and it's like, why do we trust what Mueller says, blah, blah, blah. Well, someone mentions Binney and McGovern, and that they explained that it wasn't a hack, it was a leak, and he pipes up that, well, there was this dissenting team that said they're wrong, it was a hack. And I said, I sat there with my hand up, like they didn't want to call on me again, I could tell, but I just wouldn't stop. I sat there with my hand up for like 10 minutes. And finally, they come back around to me and I said, I have communicated directly with someone on the dissenting team who said there is no way to say definitively whether it is a leak or a hack. And there's a guy on Twitter who goes by Adam Carter. It's at With Integrity. And other people have said there's no way, and John, you've said too. There's with the evidence we have, there is no way to definitively say one way or another. Binney and McGovern consulted people who said the download speeds and all this stuff indicated it was a leak onto, that someone downloaded it to a USB thing. But even the dissenting team, so what I feel like was that Isikoff he was wanting to present, he actually blurted out that Ray McGovern was full of shit. So yeah, I wish there was a recording. He said that.
Yeah.
That's what he said. We'll never know. Because why? Because CrowdStrike is the only one that saw the DNC servers. What does that tell you? That in itself is I think that's very incriminating. But he didn't like what I was saying because he wanted to present it like the team opposite of, he said McGovern was full of shit, and he wanted to present it like the people on the, opposing. It's like Thomas Drake, Jesselyn Raddick, Lisa Ling, and somebody else I forget. But I said, no, I communicated directly with one of them. It's on Twitter. I now have screenshots of it because I'm thinking it might get deleted. So I saved it. And this person admits that there is no way to tell. And initially, this person was on the other side, agreeing with Binney and McGovern. But, said it got politicized, and then she seemed, a little bit pressured maybe to oppose them. I don't know. But was not pleased with me pressing for answers and was kind of rude with me on Twitter, but at least answered some of my questions. But so I got to say that out loud in the room. But no, unless, I know that the guys that were working on the documentary about Randy Critico have it. They recorded it all, but he says they won't give it up. So unless they include it, or I can figure out who they are and go bother them myself, I have no recording of it, so damn it.
Well, that Jesus Christ.
I know, isn't that just frustrating? I thought
Michael Isikoff is just like the lowest level of fucking scum, and that's not saying a whole lot because mainstream journalism is filled with idiots like Martin Bashir.
But the thing with Isikoff, and I watched it, I was glued to that Consortium News yesterday. It's the fact that he wants to present, when you can't prove it one way or the other, that he's taking a side. And then these people attack someone like Aaron Maté, who's just saying, no, we don't know one way or the other, and accuse him of taking the other side. And Aaron says, no, I'm a skeptic. I'm saying we don't know, which is the truth.
Really, they want to present their compelling evidence. If you're not going to know with certainty, then just weigh the evidence that you have available to you.
Right.
And the evidence that's present now is inconclusive as far as hack or leak or how it was done. All we really know is that we're targeted spear phishing. They caught Podesta in the net.
Mm-hmm.
They exploited his password and access, and somehow information was leaked to a public forum. That's all we really know.
But I think it is terribly. It doesn't look good at all. Why did the FBI let the DNC tell them? You know, that whole thing just blows my mind. Like, they should have had their hands on the servers. And one of the things that this person on the dissenting team said to me was something about, do we know if there are server images? I don't know. I mean, how would I know that, you know? But I'm guessing not. Or if CrowdStrike has them, they're not releasing them, or...
And I'd want an image at the time of the penetration, or, you know, once it was noticed, you want to take a backup, a bit-for-bit backup of the entire machine, and then you'd start tracing backwards. When was the last backup before that?
Right.
You know, and get a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to think that alone swayed the election, I think, is a little naive.
That's just ludicrous. I'm sorry. It's ludicrous. I realize there are probably some people that decided maybe not to vote or something because of what was revealed. But I just think so many people they already had their mind made up. I mean, I just think it's easy for some to believe that maybe I don't know, they're in a bubble. They're in their own liberal bubble, and they don't know people in, I don't know, Nebraska or wherever, Kentucky, or they don't understand that it was a populist, you know, the sentiment was not even necessarily for Trump. It was just, you know, I've heard people say, and it's just their lesser evil to vote that way. And to blame, it's just, to me, it just sounds like more of the Democrats unwilling to look at their own failures of why they lost. Rich, you seem like you want to jump in there.
Sure, why not?
What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that people decided to vote for
I
Trump?
can say something that maybe is relevant or maybe not. It's relevant to what it's been so far, but to me, there's someone. I have something on my Facebook thing right now that shows a 2016 speech by Trump, and anybody who had been deserted by the Democratic Party for the last 30 or 40 years, anybody who was a working class person would say, "Hey, I'm going to vote for him. He's going to take care of me." You know,
right?
And especially if I thought, well, Hillary Clinton, my God, she's a slave of Wall Street. She just does whatever they want us to do. They have nothing to do for me.
Right.
The Democratic Party doesn't protect me. So Dem Exit was a very real thing.
Right.
And it's and people who I know people who were 20 and 30-year Democratic Party faithful who voted for Trump. Now, in my small circle of friends, did it because they had lost faith in the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders didn't have a chance. They kept him from winning the daggone primary. He may or may not have, but they did an awful lot to keep him from doing it. Because they wanted the Wall Street money, and that's all there was to it.
Yeah.
Wall Street money, but yeah, I think that the Russia thing, there was some propaganda that was put out there, and it probably did influence some people to a very small extent. But the last 40 years of what the Democratic Party has done to the working people of this country is what lost them election.
Right.
And the Clinton, what is it? It's the Democratic National Committee and the what is the DEA, the Democratic whatever it is that Clinton set up, that went to the middle, who started taking money from Wall Street.
Right.
DLC.
Yes.
DLC.
Thank you.
Democratic Leadership Committee.
Leadership Council. Yeah, the Democratic Leadership Council. Now that was was set up back in the early 90s, 80s by the Clintons.
Yes.
And they started taking money from Wall Street and from special interests, and they said, well, we're going to fight fire with fire. And so it turns out to fire ate them up. It did not help the American people, the working people of this country, or the 99%. I'm really big into the Occupy movement. I think that's not over. I think we need an Occupy.
However,
you know, and there's 66% of the people in this country don't vote, and they don't vote because they lost faith in the two-party system.
Right.
well, Well, there is also
we have all these people vote, and by God, we're going to win every election we want, and it's going to be a more leftist government than we have right now. It's going to go in that direction. It's going to give people single payer health care. It's going to do things for people, for everybody, when that happens. So if it does happen, and I hope it does.
Fingers crossed.
Amen.
But speaking to the point that you had made, there is also, I would also argue though that the rot of the Democratic Party had been occurring for a lot earlier. Thomas Frank in his book Listen Liberal chronicled and detailed how the transformation of the Democratic Party into what we know it today has been one that's been in progress ever since the end of LBJ's presidency. At a certain point in the late 1960s.
Hey, Willis, I think it might be your mic. Maybe.
They made the decision that they were going to start pulling away from the working class voters, because their prognosis is, well, they diverted to Nixon due to this other strategy. So what they were going to do was now cater to more enlightened, white collar, middle class liberals living in cities such as New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, so on and so forth. That was a process that had begun during that era. Now they obviously there were still. During this transitionary period, there were still figures like George McGovern who were still trying to push for progressives and social democratic legislation. But as the era went on, as the drug war and the backlash to the counterculture of the 1960s began to become further and further entrenched in American political life. It provided, not to mention the giant clusterfuck that was the entire Watergate scenario. It provided fertile ground for somebody like Reagan to take the reins, and the perfect excuse for Democrats to complete that transition from the blue collar to white collar.
Right.
Because now those white collars that they were going to be depending on to keep them elected were now swaying Republican. And so the only way to keep the white collars from completely jumping ship, well, they also happen to have a lot of fucking money. So we need to figure a way to get their money.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe is where the Democratic Leadership Council comes into this picture.
Yeah.
So ultimately the takeaway from this is not that like some crackhead in the 1980s just decided that we're just going to be the party of rich people now. No, this was a process that had been in the works for several decades, even before the Democratic Bill Clinton had even become politically active. And his supporters. I should stress that this isn't just solely a Bill Clinton operation. This was one that was spearheaded by a number of top level and grassroots Democrats of that era.
And as we know, Bill Clinton was able to get so many things done that Republicans couldn't, because it was under this guise of it was.
Well, yeah.
It was disingenuous.
Historically, there are also some other headwaters we've already gone into. 1812 was the first gerrymandered election. Governor Gary put it in gerrymandering. But that's been going on for 200 years, and that's the way the two-party system is done. Total control over. They choose their voters until they choose who's going to be elected. That's been going on since 1812 or whenever. I think it's about 1812. And then we have a situation where we had a depression, which had a big stock market crash in 1929. Yeah. 2 or 3 years later, we had the bank regulation bill that was passed, Glass-Steagall.
Yep.
And so The minute that was passed, Wall Street started the battle, and that's where they could could play loose with the money or on speculative investments and everything. So they've been trying to overturn that, and Bill Clinton finally let them overturn it in 1999. That happened 20 years ago, and that's one of the things that happened. So those things, and FDR, my good old FDR, he died, or he'd still be president. You know, and of course FDR, World War II came along, and or he probably would have gotten his second Bill of Rights passed, Human Bill of Rights. He probably would have. The nation was in the mood that may have been passed. That might have been that thing. What Bernie Sanders has been talking about this, that the Bill of Rights, the Human Bill of Rights, whatever it is that Franklin Delano Roosevelt was talking about in 1944, a year before he died, that we had those measures were incorporated into what Japan had to put in their constitution and what European countries had to put in their constitution in restructuring. That FDR is the ones who made those people have single-payer health care and have all the benefits for the people that live in their country, for their citizens. And FDR is responsible for that in Japan and in Europe and all around the world. His idea of having like a human Bill of Rights for jobs, for security, for health care, all that is because of FDR, this old man who had polio. He's the one who did that.
Yep.
And I think gerrymandering, FDR, the Glass-Steagall Act, and Wall Street greed has been trying to work on getting that knocked down ever since 1932 or 31 when it was passed.
Right.
So this isn't something that just happened last year, a decade ago, or 2 decades ago, or 3 decades ago. It's a historical thing that goes on and on and on. We go back to Europe. Now, the serfs over in Europe, what was their problem? Same problem we have today. The people who have the money want more money. They don't have enough. They have to take enough.
Right.
Greed has no limit. And we have that effect in our country today, and has been for the last, ever since 1932 when Glass-Steagall was passed, which was a very good thing for having a stable economy and having business be responsible. We've been fighting everything like that for a long time. You know, I mean, it's just people just are greedy and they want to just get it all into themselves. And we have right now 1,000 to 1% of people, 1,861. That's the number of billionaires households that make over $1 billion a year. Mm-hmm. $1,000 million a year for one family, one household.
Well, and then you have people just don't associate with each other. I mean, people live in their, mm-hmm. bubbles. And it only takes $350,000 to get into the top 1% for a household income. Mm-hmm. That's all it takes. Right.
And everybody else is below $350,000 per year for a household income. Mm-hmm. Now, to me, that's not like a huge amount of money. But I mean, it's to somebody who's a millionaire, it's $1 million a year. They accumulate. They probably have their portfolio or their worth, their worth is maybe 10 or 20, $30 million or whatever.
Right. You know? And when you have money, you can do things like, I remember this article I read a long time ago. It was a guy talking about he had grown up in poverty, and then mm-hmm. I think he worked in IT or something, and then he made money. But he's like, there are all these habits he couldn't break. And I remember him talking about writing about buying things in bulk. Like if you can buy things in bulk, a lot of times you'll save money. Now there's a trick with that because the stores now try to trick you, like, oh, you buy the bigger package, it's cheaper, and that isn't always the case now. But anyway, he was saying that like he had all these things ingrained where you never do that when you're poor. You've got to just think about the next day or like the immediate. Mm-hmm. You're not thinking long term, and it's a forced thing because of how much money you have. But so it's just another way that poor stay poor and rich get rich. Mm-hmm. I guess, right?
Well, mostly because they buy the politicians. The politicians make the rules that give them the money.
Yeah, right. Well, it's like
the tax situation, et cetera. So.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to. Oh, whoops! I lost the meme now. Never mind. Actually, before, I just want to, because I decided to wear my WikiLeaks shirt. Assange was on my mind, and I think it's something that, we did that great panel in April with all the candidates, Rich, that you were on, and I think that was really good. But I worry that, I think we need to keep talking about it. And I had seen this a while ago. I forget when it was for. There's a journalist named Gordon Dimmick. He has a YouTube channel. But he received a letter from Assange, and I wanted to read it. It's kind of short. It's not too long, but I forget when it came out. Maybe 2 months ago or something. But I don't know. I just felt the need to say something. So, okay, this is what Assange wrote to this guy. I have been isolated from all ability to prepare to defend myself. No laptop, no internet ever, no computer, no library so far. But even if I get access to it, it will be just for half an hour with everyone else once a week. Just 2 visits a month, and it takes weeks to get someone on the call list, and a catch-22 in getting their details to be security screened. Then all calls, except lawyers, are recorded, and calls are max 10 minutes in a limited 30-minute window each day in which all prisoners compete for the phone. And credit just a few pounds a week, and no one can call in. The other side, a superpower that has been preparing for 9 years with hundreds of people and untold millions spent on the case. I am defenseless, and I am counting on you and others of good character to save my life. I am unbroken, albeit literally surrounded by murderers, but the days when I could read and speak and organize to defend myself, my ideals, and my people are over until I am free. Everyone else must take my place. The U.S. government, or rather those regrettable elements in it that hate truth, liberty, and justice, want to cheat their way into my extradition and death rather than letting the public hear the truth, for which I have won the highest awards in journalism and have been nominated 7 times for the Nobel Peace Prize. Truth, ultimately, is all we have. Okay, I think that's it. So I just wanted to read that because, I don't know. He's still in there in this horrible Belmarsh prison, and I think we have to remember and keep talking about it.
The reason that this is going on might be the second data set that hasn't been released. The first data set were the emails of Hillary's from her server. The second set is from the DNC server.
Okay.
DNC probably does not want that released, and they're probably going to do anything to prevent that from being released.
Who, the Democrats?
Yeah. And whoever they're working with.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, whoever their masters are.
Yeah, well, whoever their masters are and whoever did it for them, unless he's already dead.
Yeah. Why do you believe there's a second set?
It's on the. Let me see the website. I just saw it on. There was two data acquisitions.
Mitch, is that maybe on your end? Somebody's got a.
Well, I've been on mute.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Hang on. So where's it coming from? Rich?
Hard to tell.
I can't tell. It's very strange. Oh well.
Does it come back when I unmute?
No?
Most of the time I was hearing it, I was muted.
Right.
Right.
I don't think it's you.
Okay.
And just in case, I put my headphones on.
Rich? It might be you.
It might be what I wonder what it be.
I don't know.
Where is your microphone relative to your speakers?
It's in the it's just in my webcam.
Okay, so nothing's different than last time you were on?
I don't think so. No.
Huh. All right, John, you're muted, so.
I had a conditioner running in the background, but that wouldn't be good.
No, it sounds.
It might be sound reflecting off of something. John is muted, and we're still hearing. We're still hearing it. So it's not John. Could be ALS, but I think he muted once, and we still heard it. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
But normally, if John hadn't been muted, I would have thought it was sound reflecting off of his cell phone back in. But it can't be.
Right.
Brian's on.
His cell phone's charging though too. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Do you have any wires overlapping your microphone?
My mic's in my laptop.
No, I'm sorry, I meant for Rich. Rich, trace back the wires between your camera and your microphone and see.
Well, the camera and microphone are all in the same.
Right, but are the wires wrapped around something else? An electrical phenomenon called crosstalk.
Yeah. Good call, Snark.
No, it's a pretty clear wire just to the back of the computer. It's just one. It's not a wrap or anything.
We used to have to wrap the guts of computers with gold foil because back then we didn't have high frequency stuff under control.
Let me mute Aeolus while he's not here anyway. Okay, let's try that. No.
So we'll probably never know.
I don't know.
But
I mean,
we spent $750 a reel, like it was a roll of masking tape, $750 a roll. And once I told people that it could not reflect radar because it ate radio signals, we kept having these rolls just fly off the shelves at our factory. And you'd see all the cars with the hood would be lined with it, the bumper would be lined with it. So everybody's trying to turn their cars into stealth cars.
Okay, sorry, I was trying to figure out if it was something on my end here.
They're trying to turn the cars into what?
No. So
stealth cars. Yeah. So they go not being visible and everything. Yeah.
They were stealing all of our gold tape. It was really bad. We ran out of it fast.
So where again is the second sentence? The second income coming from?
I'm sorry, I got distracted. Well, I was looking up the Clinton Foundation and the cybersecurity breach, and it says Reuters reported. So probably go to Reuters to find it. I'll quote it here. Oh, I could share.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. It says here down. I don't know. Can you see my mouse?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. In 2016, Reuters reported that the Clinton Foundation suspected that it had been the target of a cybersecurity breach.
Oh, FireEye. FireEye's on that. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So to evaluate its data system, the cybersecurity breach has been described as sharing similarities in cyber attacks that target the other institutions, such as the DNC. So my thought is that what we're really dealing with here, can I unshare, is that the donors that were doing pay-to-play through the Clinton Foundation want that suppressed, even if they have to kill Assange. That's just my assumption. I don't have knowledge of that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because
FireEye.
that is a lot bigger deal than Hillary's emails.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well,
And how
FireEye.
much have you heard of this in any media?
I recognize FireEye. That was on the list that Reality Winner wanted to subpoena.
Yeah.
Interesting, huh?
That's a suppress at all costs. So I guess maybe you don't worry
What about the third set of information that's coming out? The one on Epstein or whatever his name is, and it's going to reveal all the people he's ever associated with. And
Is that listed there? I didn't see that.
No. It's just, I just brought this up that guy that's was arrested for child molesting and all that kind of stuff. You know, that billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
The Clintons said that they were broke in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
That they left the office of presidency
Right.
in the hole.
Oh, right.
Right.
Within 4 years, they were multi-billionaires
Yep.
with no assets. You don't become a billionaire unless you've done something pretty bad.
It is with a B, billionaire.
Billionaire.
Billionaire. Wow. They're doing something right or
Clinton
wrong.
Foundation. I mean, can you imagine if the media went after the Clintons the way they have after Trump? And I wanted, actually, what I was going to share earlier, when Brian and I were talking with Dave, who's now changed his channel to the Radical Independent. Hang on, let me pull this up.
Sorry, guys. I'm probably gonna have to pitch in for tonight.
Oh, okay.
I've been up all day. I just got finished with the moving like 4 hours ago. So.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but
That's ideal.
it's nice to be back home. It's nice to be back where I belong. And on that note, I will look very forward to contacting you guys again from my fine locale in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. Cool.
See you guys
Okay.
later.
Good night.
Ideal.
Good to see you. Yeah, we should have AO listed do like you did the other time, where we just pick an article and we kind of dissected it. But I wanted to show. Whoops, where'd it go? Okay, well here it is. This just the wording. Okay, so there's this website, Need to Impeach. And I'm trying to read it, just what their case is here. But the quote here from Mueller: "If we had confidence the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so."
That wording is bizarre.
It really is. It's like proving a negative.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh my God, I just couldn't believe when I saw this. I thought, can you imagine, they talk about how Hillary was just attacked by the right-wing media. Can you imagine if this was... Ugh. So anyway, here is, let's see. Now
And there's a presumption of innocence in the country, right?
supposedly. Okay, so let's actually look at this. What are his actual impeachable offenses, they're saying? Okay. Attempt to get Comey to drop an investigation to Flynn. When he refused, Trump fired Comey. Okay. Trump made 2 more attempts at stopping the investigation by trying unsuccessfully to fire Robert Mueller. Okay, let's read more about Trump's obstruction here. Oh, wow, look at our little... Okay.
So he's obstructed justice almost as much as Hillary did.
I mean...
That's a lot.
Interfered in federal investigations and tried to influence their outcomes. Violating federal law. Okay, exactly how handpicked official may tried to clear him of his charges. Specifically did not exonerate him. Again, it's like this proving a negative. I'm just confused. I don't
I
understand.
think that's the point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, where was I? All right, political case. Let me get back to that page. Oops. Oh, Tom Steyer.
Tom Steyer, the billionaire. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Here's his memo outlining the political case for impeachment. Oops. Sorry about that. Lawless president. I still don't understand. Okay, the case for impeachment summarized. I don't specifically. Okay, so he obstructed justice by firing Comey. Is that their? I mean, anybody know?
I certainly do not think they have an airtight case for impeachment. I think they would go to the Senate, and I think it would get by, and it would not hurt the Republicans that much. I don't think it would really have a lot of effect, a negative effect on the Republicans.
I think it's a lose because I do not want the torrent of Pence released on us.
I think this anything that comes out of this is just going to bolster his supporters.
Yeah.
Whatever comes out of this is just going to bolster.
But I mean, look at this part here. The stage is already set for a Trump reckoning. Most Americans strongly dislike Trump. How is that?
That's not relevant.
55%.
Not legally. What the hell does that mean legally?
I know.
Nothing.
Yeah, see, that's what they need is if there's a case for impeachment, just put the facts out there.
Right.
I don't need all this.
Yeah, there's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we play this? I'm going to play this. I may get whatever YouTube strikes, but let's see what this guy has.
Many Democrats are scared to take action on impeachment because they fear a potential political backlash would be too risky, citing what happened to the Republicans after President Clinton was impeached. But the facts don't support their argument. Impeachment didn't hurt the Republicans in the next election. In fact, they won the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And unlike Mr. Trump, President Clinton was popular, with an approval rating above 60% before, during, and after his impeachment. The actual risk to Democrats is doing nothing and allowing this deeply corrupt president to continue attacking our democratic form of government. We can't put him above the law. Our Constitution is clear. Beginning impeachment proceedings is essential to holding Mr. Trump accountable. Finally, if after all the facts are laid out before the American people, Senate Republicans still want to stand with Mr. Trump, they should be forced to do so on the record, a record they'll have to defend for the rest of their lives. Democrats in the House shouldn't fear impeachment. Not only is it the right thing to do, it's good politics too. If you agree, join 8 million Americans and sign our petition at needtoimpeach.com.
Okie dokie.
I'm just flabbergasted that we don't have an end date where they can join the election. It's just every week they throw on a new neoliberal of the week. Now, Steyer was one of the people responsible for us getting Hillary, getting the Clintons.
Oh, he was? I don't even know this. Do tell.
He's one of the big mega donors.
Oh, okay.
He also, just weeks ago, came to all the Pride events in Iowa and hired as many gay people as he could to try to. My theory, of course, is that he was trying to steal the gay vote from Buttigieg.
Oh, okay.
He just, I mean, these candidates are picking ways to shoot at each other. And I just think that we should say that the election starts on January 24th, 2021. And if you want to be for the president the next cycle, that's when you need to put in your application. We should not have this. We're not that far from the nomination or Iowa caucus now, and we still have new billionaires every week jumping in and going. And this needs to stop. We need to. Rich, you're muted.
You're
Rich?
muted.
Well, I'm done. I said I was muted, wasn't I?
Yes.
Yeah,
We weren't ignoring you. We couldn't hear you.
I was just saying that God, what was I saying?
Was it about the video? about the video impeachment? Is that what you were? The case for it?
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to jog your memory.
Well, I'm an old man. I can't do this.
Hey, it happens to all of us. Hey,
it looks like you lit up when I suggested that my theory was that he was trying to steal the gable.
Yeah, right, and yeah, I mean, the millionaires are trying to keep. They have 20 people here this time, and in the last cycle there was like 3 or 4 people. And the thing they're trying to do, the establishment guys are trying to divide up the pie so there's smaller and smaller pieces of pie, so that eventually it's going to keep it so that the leftists are not going to be able to have the nomination. They're trying to keep the money coming from Wall Street.
With Steyer, I think it's something else.
Yeah.
Now, since Steyer controls many of the money flows to the Democratic Party, big donors, they can't say anything nasty about him.
Mm-hmm.
So all these people are dependent on him as being one of the big people he has to please in the party.
Yeah.
Now he has become a candidate. So if they don't try to get endorsed by him, which means they can't run against him, this has put a lot of people, big money source.
Hang on, I'm going to mute again. Oh, sorry, Rich. Go ahead. You're unmuted.
Well, Bernie's not dependent on them for money.
No, he hasn't, but the others have.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fine. I'm glad that they're dependent on somebody else because they're not going to get a whole lot of money from normal, ordinary voters. And Elizabeth Warren has been pretty good on fundraising, too, from
Go back and look. Pull up the FTC files.
Is she getting money from special
numbers? Extremely. What she's doing is she is not taking campaign money from big donors for her presidential campaign.
Right.
Taking it on her Senate campaign and transferring it in. $10 million to.
Yeah, they just find some way to be sneaky about it. That's all they do. They say they're not taking it, and there's just some loophole,
I believe Bernie. I think Bernie's not getting money from it.
No, you can look at the FEC site and see it's us. The money's coming from us for Bernie.
Yeah, right, and that's great. That's wonderful.
But all the others, many of them that are saying that they aren't getting any money, are just having it donated to Nancy Pelosi, and she transfers it over through the Democratic Party.
Right.
Candidates like Bernie are not eligible.
There's another.
Buttigieg and a guy from Texas are getting a lot of money from the special interests. They're getting a lot.
Yeah, money just popped out of nowhere from those two.
Yeah, right. And they're being back pretty much, almost as much as Biden, perhaps. I don't know what Biden says. All he does is go to fundraisers with rich people. It seems like from what I understand.
Well, there's a new-ish from June 30th article in The Intercept. It's Lee Fang. I think Nick Braun is quoted in here, but it's kind of talking about what we talked about when we discussed the DNC pledges, and we had the guy on from Independent Voter Network, Sean Griffiths. We talked about basically what, well, the title of this is How Lobbyists and Insiders Could Override Voters to Choose the Democratic Presidential Nominee. I mean, we know this stuff, but it's basically just talking about the part 2. Oh, hello. If no single candidate receives a majority of pledged delegates in the initial vote of the convention, called the first ballot, the nomination goes to what is known as brokered convention, in which the so-called superdelegates participate in subsequent rounds of nomination votes. So given that there are more than 25 candidates, it's possible there will be no clear front runner, and then it's rigged.
I'm sorry, I have my first witty commentary for today.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to lodge my first witty commentary for today. Thank you.
Okay.
Can we just go ahead and bundle up Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, all the white guys? Really? Can we just get rid of all of them? Sorry, all the white guys aboard here. Sorry, Mitchell. Sorry, John. Sorry, Rich. But can we just go ahead and bundle them all up and just bundle them and maybe like rotate them out, like one each debate maybe, or can we do something like, can we get a situation going where we get rid of them? Because I mean, I'm not for any of them at all, like in any way. Beto, none of them. Bernie, I'm sorry, Bernie. But I don't consider Bernie an old white guy. I don't consider Bernie to be an old white guy. He's an old Jewish guy. There's a difference.
That's like Warren being a woman of color.
Right.
I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but they're all boring as fuck. I mean, like Eric Swalwell.
Oh God.
John Delaney. He must be your favorite guy, right?
Yeah, like John. Get the fuck out of here, John Delaney. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then even like Pete Buttigieg, like they're like, what is that? Like, I mean, what did they do? They like sent Hillary back in a 20-year time machine, made her into a man, and made her gay. Like, I don't understand. I don't get what's going on. I don't get it. He looks just like her to me. It's weird. They look quite alike. If you see them side by side comparison, they look quite alike.
Damn.
Thank you for the comic relief. Okay.
That's what I'm here for. That's what you booked me for.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. So, okay, let's see if this says anything new.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, please. By all means. We need entertainment. It's basically talking about, the superdelegates when they were added to the Democratic Party in the early 80s as a sort of insurance policy, giving establishment figures a permanent share of delegates to guard against nominating a candidate they viewed as a political liability.
We don't want another fucking Jimmy Carter because
right.
we didn't drop enough bombs on motherfuckers. So we don't need another Jimmy Carter. Fuck that. We need someone who's going to push them damn nuclear buttons. We need somebody who's going to send our fleets to those oceans. We need someone who's going to go to war with Iran. It was all because of Jimmy Carter. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's see. This says the Intercept has reviewed lobbying records and identified at least 8 superdelegates who are currently working with healthcare clients lobbying against Medicare for All. Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, and J.P. Morgan Chase each have lobbyists who double as superdelegates.
Of course!
I think I might have a solution to this, but unfortunately, the solution comes from a very unlikely source. Bill Maher.
Oh, no.
Bill Maher. Oh, God, that idiot.
Yeah.
Bill Maher said something years ago that I do not think he would agree with today. Yeah. And that is, what we are missing here on the left is our own Tea Party.
Right.
There's some truth.
Here's my argument. If we had a party or just a candidate who was going extreme left, okay, everything else that they would be talking about, from Medicare for all to drawing down our military to a Green New Deal, these would all be very, very acceptable because they would be scared shitless of the person who's gone extreme left.
Uh-huh.
Suddenly, these things would start to become more mainstream. It's the same thing the Tea Party did.
Right.
Before.
Yep.
So here's my suggestion: we get somebody, they don't have to even be serious, who says, "I'm going to nationalize our natural resources, and we're going to take the assets and wealth of the top, say 45 wealth holders in this country, and redistribute it."
So someone that's really extreme.
Ryan, you are making me horny right now. Keep talking. Keep going.
I mean, they don't even have to be necessarily serious, but if they start talking about that, all of this other stuff that we want suddenly becomes
right. Well, okay, so
very,
Bill Maher
very acceptable.
Bill Maher made the comment.
Let's say a state of emergency and martial law until we deal with climate change. I mean, I'm for that. I mean, I'm sorry. I think that's something that needs to be done. I think there needs to be martial law in a sense of, hey, look, this shit ain't gonna fly no more. We're gonna all burn the fuck up. We can't be doing this shit no more. And I'm sorry. I think, maybe I shouldn't have said that as someone who's running for public office, but I think that's, I think that is something that needs to be looked at. It's going to certainly need to be looked at in 7 or 8 years when we still haven't fucking changed the damn fucking thing we're doing, and we're all like, oh, we only got 5 years left.
Yes.
Well, okay, so Bill Maher.
This is a very important election in 2020. No doubt. It has some severe consequences for the planet, for the people all over.
Absolutely, it does.
That's why I say, because of the Democratic rule against primarying a sitting Democrat.
Yeah.
Once they're in forever. If they're president, they're in for 2 terms. You don't get a chance to primary them out. So it's better to vote against a bad Democrat and have an opportunity in 4 years to get a good one in than to waste 8 of the 11 years we have to act on climate change.
I am 100% in agreement.
Yeah. You mean you're saying we should...
Y'all don't want me to be president. That's all I know. Look, I'll be 35 in 5 years. Look, okay? Y'all don't want me to be president 2024, Williams 2024, because I'll be putting martial law. I'll be doing all kinds of shit, and I won't give a fuck, because I'm not going to run for re-election. I'll only need 1 term, because, look, we'll be at the clock by then. So, you know what? We're going to be down to our last 3 years by then. So guess what? There will be martial law. There will be, that's stuff that people are not thinking about it in that way. And it's like, they're worried about poor people getting fucking health care. And it's like, y'all know we're all going to die, right? Like, or not. Y'all know that? Or
Well,
but there will be no poor people when we're all fucking dead.
Yeah, it could be very serious along that time.
Well, what you're saying about Bill Maher, I mean, I remember him talking about, the Tea Party has taken it so far to the right that it makes, the center right not seem so crazy, right?
Right.
So, if you have someone,
So if you have a Tea Party to the left, it could do the same thing.
They know that's what is... They know it's there, and you know what my theory is on some of like Tulsi Gabbard, possibly. It's to rein in. I think it's to control that, to keep that in check, and keep that under the Democratic tent.
There's something about the Tea Party that people sort of miss. I went to some of their meetings. I was part of the PRO thing back in 1992.
Right.
And in PRO, it was people from the left and right and the middle and every place else. I mean, it was people who were pissed off at the government for spending all our money and not taking care of us and all that kind of thing. A bunch of people who were very, and the Tea Party, what they were talking about, PRO movement, they were talking about having a Tea Party in Boston Harbor, throwing the tea out in the thing, and they promoted that a lot. The Tea Party revolting against the government and all this kind of thing, but about all the Tea Party people I ever met, they were all small business people. They were too old to cut the daggone billionaires for taking everything, not anything on the table for them. But and you get up there in the 1,000 to 1% billionaires. Those people in the top 1/10 or 2/10 of that 1% that's at the top. They're 20, 30, 40 times as wealthy as the billionaires, right? I mean, it just geometrically explodes when you get up into the billionaire class. So the Tea Party people are actually people who are grassroots people. They are actually wanting to get back into a government that represented the ordinary man, the middle class, small business. I know a lot of, John Michael, I know a lot of black people very interested in small business and wanted to be entrepreneurs and all that kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah, part of the conversation around reparations is, what form should those reparations take, right?
Right.
And AOC nailed it when she was talking about the redlining during the Great Depression when FDR. FDR is the progressive hero, right? But he fucked over a lot of black people. Like,
yes, he did. Yes, he did.
I'm not aware of that. I could learn something there. Probably.
Well, he's a rich white guy, but redlining, that was part of FDR's New Deal programs. A lot of those New Deal programs were based on, here are the neighborhoods that are okay to go ahead and invest in, and they were predominantly white neighborhoods. And here are the neighborhoods that we don't want you to invest in, and they were outlined with red marker to signify no, right? And those were predominantly minority communities. So AOC, as much as they make fun of AOC, as much as they talk shit about AOC and about her not being knowledgeable, she nailed that one. She hit it out of the park. I'm a history teacher. I would know. So she nailed it out of the park. That's exactly what happened. They had redlining and so a disproportionate amount of wealth during the New Deal. And remember, the New Deal was basically rock bottom for the country, right? So much wealth had been lost during the Great Depression that it was basically rock bottom for the country. You can look at it as year zero if you were looking at it as a calendar, because it was that fucking bad, right?
Yes.
So if you look at it at year zero, you think about how much money, how many trillions of dollars were disproportionately invested in white communities.
Correct.
We're ignoring the hundreds of years of
slavery.
Free labor and free, we're ignoring the hundreds of years of free labor and free, all that. If we just look at just that, we're talking trillions of dollars that were disproportionately invested in white communities, and then black people got kind of the shit end of the stick. Southern whites threw a fit because at one point Abraham Lincoln wanted to give every slave 40 acres and a mule. Think about this. He was going to give them 40 acres in the fucking Western Territory. So basically, they would get the fuck out of white people's way, and that wasn't good enough. It was like, oh no, we can't let them niggers have land.
But that is incorrect. The bad thing about the incorrect thing is, though, if the Republicans catch you on something incorrect, they will use it against you later. The 40 acres were meant to be bottomland, absolutely useless land in the American Southeast, not the new territory. Land that was considered absolute crap. Get flooded out 1 out of every 4 years.
Yeah, and they were like, we can't let the niggers have that land.
No, actually,
we can't even let them have that.
Actually, they did, and they took it away by 1910. Took it all back by 1910.
Thank you, Mitchell. Man of history right there, Mitchell. You're absolutely right. That is correct. The land that they were being given was in like the Dakotas and the... No.
It was in the Southeast. It was the absolute crap land in the Southeast.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
You mean like South, basically?
Yes. There are a lot of places in the South.
This is land somewhere?
Give them that land.
Yes. If you go back and read it, it was the bottom land. And it was only to temporary until they could afford to buy their own land. The thing was, they thrived.
Well, who knows with our history books? I mean, there's so much misinformation,
Judy
right?
educated me. Mitchell got me educated. Thank you.
Okay. Also, the horse is incorrect. The horse came from the general who is administrating the program.
You mean the mule? You said 40.
Mule. Yeah, mule.
Okay.
He said,
I said mule.
He said there's no way that we can complete our mission. And when you tell soldiers that they have a mission, they really try to complete it. It's one of the things that you can kind of tell about soldiers.
Right.
So the general said, you got mules, give them mules. It wasn't as a give to keep. It was make sure if you had a mule in their area that they could use, so that they could get a baseline going, get a crop in, and get some money going to run themsells. And they were hard workers. They worked hard. They took land that was absolute crap. I mean, if you tried to sell a farmer this land today, they would go, you can't insure it. It's not good for crops. And these people did. In the worst part of the second from the last century. So their skill as farmers, of course, they were farming for free before this. So when they had a chance to farm for themselves, they really took advantage of it well. But
they're good farmers, yeah.
Every little thing that we say incorrect about the story is a knife that's going to be stabbed in the solution when it comes. Because pretty soon we're going to be asking for reparations. And I believe reparations are good, but I don't believe that they're going to be administered fairly. If we're given a chance to give people reparations, they're going to get screwed at every position you can imagine. They're going to be awful.
Well, I do like Marianne Williamson, Miss Crystal Ball, Roger.
Yes.
I don't mind.
I love Marianne Williamson. She sounds like a movie star from the 1920s, darling, with her transatlantic. I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah,
I think we need to operate with a spirit of love. I'm like,
she's a goat.
Yes, I love
She's a goat that needs sheep to slaughter. The options that are going to be given. First, they're going to be given the option to renounce their citizenship in exchange for reparations. Don't accept that.
What?
I mean, go to another country. Other country's going to take your money and then put you in a refugee camp.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, the next thing is they're going to go for legal basis. Remember, many of the people who are in Congress are legally minded.
Yeah.
Often, they went to Harvard or
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So they're going to go by the letter of the law as it was written, which means through the same problem that the American Indians are having right now, where they have difficulty selling their land.
Right.
Because the trace of ownership is so hard and it's so split generation to generation that you have to prove how many generations your family member was under slavery. And then you have to prove every portion of every one of your ancestors, which portion of that one and which portion of that land they're going to get. So it's not going to be $1 for everybody. You're going to have to prove what's called their basis, how much of that they're actually entitled to.
And it's such a sad thing because, and I just want to pivot real quick, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Mitch,
Sure.
but I want to pivot here for a second because I think it's really interesting that Donald Trump, and again, I'm an independent. You guys, I think, know that, or Brian and Kelly know I'm an independent. But this whole thing with Donald Trump telling the black congresswoman to go back to where she came from, I think is hilarious because a lot of us don't even know where the fuck we came from.
Right.
We don't even know where we came from. Like, the government can certainly pay for a 23andMe for me. You know what I'm saying? Can you pay for my ancestry.com so I can know where the fuck I came from?
The funny thing is, there's already a national database for black people. Any black person that's taken advantage of it.
You need to run for the NAACP head. You need to be the NAACP president.
I need to get dark here pretty soon.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes, you got to get out of the basement
knows what the term
in Iowa.
I'm sorry, man. I was just teasing you. I'm listening.
Okay, pretty soon, there's this database. Any black person who has used Medicaid or Medicare has on record their DNA test.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. So when you had it, go get a blood test. Any blood test. It should cost you $15, and ask for a copy of your test report. And since you're obviously somewhat black, right?
Yeah. Quite a lot.
You're not an American Indian like Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, like Rich. Rich.
So what you're going to find on your report on the second page of the cheapest well-cared blood test is what you call it, well-cared blood test. You'll find on like the second or third page, it will say percent sub-Saharan African DNA.
Oh.
Which means you've had a full blood scan. And there's no record of it in the public eye. Because I can tell you for one thing, for having a wellness test, which is for thyroid, anemia, and all these other conditions, that doesn't cover the cost of a DNA smear.
No. Oh, Lord.
Because you're talking electrophoresis.
Oh, man. Right.
Interesting.
So that doesn't happen unless it's some kind of national effort. So we are building a database of is how much African American. And the way I found out was my wife got bi-weekly potassium blood tests.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine down in California got a blood test, and he happens to be black. And I said, well, I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you how yours is compared to hers. And he hands me his blood test. And I'm flipping through it, mostly looks like my wife's. And obviously, you probably noticed that I'm almost not dark enough to be considered white. So his blood test popped right up. I said, what is this? How much did you have to pay to get this extra test? for to determine if you were sub-Saharan. He goes, well, I never had any test. And he called his girlfriend and he goes, could you get this test? She went and got the test and it was on hers. And we called around and every black person we knew gets this on their blood tests.
Interesting. I don't know if I'm sub-Saharan African because you know what? I'm all kinds of things, honey. I think I'm like Sephardic Jewish and like, you know, I don't know. I want to get my test done.
Very possible.
I'm sure you are.
I'm sure I'm like Sephardic Jewish and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's no question. You're going to come back sub-Saharan African. That is the. Is
that the government's way of marking me so they can be like, round these ones up first?
That was my concern. Absolutely true. That was my concern.
Ooh.
Because this was a close friend of mine, and I was very worried about it when I saw that. Why are they marking you guys? At first, I thought it was just him and his wife. And I got more into asking, since I'm not a biologist, I had to ask my biology professor friends what's going on.
That's really odd. When was that?
That is odd. Now you got me scared. Just kidding. I don't get scared. But
do white people or anybody else? Do you have any DNA information on anybody else that has a test? Any kind of DNA information? Or
yeah, there are, but it doesn't get recorded like this. What happens is the models that most people were taught 30 years ago are not exactly up to date. So if you're not working past the Denisovan ancestry tree, was that the Europeans broke off into Neanderthals, broke off into the Denisovans, and then they recombined, and then because humans tend to be very many creatures that bounce around, our genetic stuff bounced back and forth. All the continents. So all this genetic material that just like waves up. But after the Denisovan and the Neanderthal combination, which is like depending on which side you're closest to, didn't transfer well to Africa past the Sahara, because the Sahara became a barrier that was a long time that people didn't cross easily. Not that they didn't cross, because we wouldn't be as compatible as we are if some people didn't manage to go down there and have sex.
Hey, I did it all for the Nookie. Come on, the Nookie.
I mean, the DNA for all humans is like 99.9999% the same. You know,
that's also kind of misleading. Is that if you look at the portions that go, it isn't. But what happened is when although the people in Africa got the DNA from the Neanderthal and they got the improvements, they didn't carry the markers afterwards. So it didn't reflect back out into the pool again. So the people in the Europe and the people in Asia can tell the distinct that they're not. However, the people from Europe and Asia, they mix so much that there's little trickles all over the place.
We're all nuts. I mean, we're all nuts.
Genghis Khan and those kind of conquerors and all that kind of thing.
And did you know I'm as much Japanese as Elizabeth Warren is Turkey?
Are you really? So. No, that's Chinese. I'm sorry. Hi.
It's so silly. We're all mutts, you know. But
exactly. I have my a good part of my heritage all the way back to 300 BC because of my family.
Wow.
And
dang. Did y'all know Jesus? I need to know. Did you know Jesus? I'm kidding.
But the trek is just like like Europe was just like this DNA blender. And then we had the Asians come in and conquer 2/3 of it. And it became a blender again. So basically...
The Mongols! Because the Mongols like to conquer everybody. The Mongols were some badass sons of bitches. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The Mongols were where it's at, homie.
If you look at some Norwegians and Swedes, don't tell me they don't have
That's
Mongol
where I
eyes.
am. I'm Swedish. Yeah.
So, but again, and look at Melania Trump. Melania Trump has a lot of the Mongol features.
Oh, yeah, she does, yeah.
Okay,
Interesting.
that's from an area that was called Hungary.
A lot of East European women, yeah.
So it's part of the old Hungarian Empire. Hungary meant Hungland, which was the Huns who came in.
Get me there. Get me there. I will not come back. Get me there. Brian's face. Honey, I will not come back. I will stay there. You won't.
Well, at least we've identified where you should go on your next vacation.
I'm just letting. I'm honest, honey.
Now, one of the biggest problems with African hereditary is we say black people.
I love Mitchell. I love you so much, Mitchell. I'm listening.
I like having you on too.
Yes.
But we say black people. When we say black people, we're talking about as if the black people, everybody on the continent is one people. But when we talk about Europeans, we talk about British, we talk about Norwegians, we talk about Italians. There are as many different facial features amongst the people that are sub-Saharan as there are of Europeans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Africa is a bigger area than Europe.
Right, much bigger
People are
area.
more spread out. They have
And
more
misrepresented on that.
You got people that
No, the Congo is as big as Europe. Yeah.
South America, it's like twice as big as South America, really, in reality. But anyway,
What are you doing, John? Oh, you're muted.
But I was going to say there are 5 foot tall Africans. There are 9 foot tall Africans.
Oh, yeah.
John,
there are so many different people that we have totally scrambled what they are. And as you said, we don't even know where they're from. And yet the basis for the Republicans to agree on us and the Republicans who call themselves Democrats is going to come down to basis. We've formed the foundation for them to establish basis. And not only that, most people can't trace their family back more than 3 or 4 generations.
right.
In order to get back to the point where the basis is set at the end of the Civil War, that data is not there for the black people. And we have to come up with a way that we don't leave them in dire straits 10 years after they get the reparations. We can't say, here's the reparations, never bother us again. We can't have that happen.
What is John doing, though? John
I don't know.
He has my curiosity piqued right now.
Did you see that?
Was Bigfoot out there?
I went out to get a soda out of the ice chest, and these beetles, they're so smart. They wait for me to open the door, and they jump in. They're like on the screen.
Oh, well, at least it wasn't a bobcat again, or whatever it was that was.
Oh, I got a mountain lion now. It killed 2 alpacas right up the road from me. Anyways, I digress. I take the weight.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to sign off soon because I've been sitting up
too, actually, I'm tired.
Yeah. But it's.
What was I going to say, though? I did have a Swiss immigrant, because, Democrats are just the best people. I'm sorry if you're Democrats, any of you. I did have a Swiss immigrant lecture me on about racism yesterday, which I thought was fascinating. And she had a German last name, of course, right? Because what else would her last name be except for something German? And so I was like, well, thank you so much, white lady, for telling me about racism. Like, gosh golly, I don't know what I'd do without you. And then her response was, I'm not white, I'm Swiss.
Again, like me, she's too light to be white.
I'm all, you're not white, you're Swiss. And then she tried to turn it around on me, right? She was like,
my God.
It's good to know that you don't want to know the opinion of an immigrant woman. And I was like, you're goddamn fucking right. I don't want to know the opinion of an immigrant white woman about fucking racism in America. Yeah, I probably don't want to know that.
Did you just say, listen here, Swiss Miss?
Girl, I didn't think of it until after. I should have told her, listen, bitch, before I put a marshmallow with you. Okay? Like, I need to do a marshmallow test. We need to do a marshmallow test with She was quick to try to tell me, this is what racism is, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I've never, thank you, white savior, because I've never known what that's like in my entire life. I've never gone through that. And gosh golly, I'm thankful I never had that happen to me, right? Like, what? Like, oh.
Thank you for the comment.
I'm just saying, y'all are funny. I'm mostly white, so I can say it. White people are funny as hell. Y'all are funny as hell. We're funny as hell. I'm one of you too, kind of.
Now,
We're funny as fuck.
I know you're biracial. Is your one parent white and the other's black, or is it more complicated?
Yeah, my mom's like half-ish because she's like Portuguese. That's why I'm saying, like, my mom, I think is Sephardic Jewish. I'm pretty sure my mom's Sephardic Jewish. But, like, she doesn't know who her father was because my grandma's a hoe. And so it was the 60s. It was the 60s, I'm sorry. And she knows I say that. I say it, and she knows it. So, but, it was the 60s, right? Free love, right? Mm-hmm. And so we don't know who her dad was. And so when the guy that she thinks is her dad is Portuguese, and he has, like, really distinctive, like, features of, like, Sephardic Jew. And so I'm pretty sure when I get my test, it's going to come back like Sephardic Jewish. Like, I'm like a lot of things, but I think I'm part Jewish. I'm not sure though. But I would be Jewish because it's on my mom's side. So I would be, well, wait. Never mind.
You know what's funny though? Whenever you hear people get these tests back, they're always shocked because it's never what they were told or what they think it is.
Yeah.
And if mine comes back Jewish, you better believe I'm going to add that card to the deck, honey. I'm going to break that card out all the time. I can't wait. I'm going to have a full house, honey. If I come back Jewish, I'm going to have a flush, royal flush.
Yeah.
There you go.
You might be Jewish more than one line.
Hey!
The other thing is, Portuguese, have you noticed the color of your eyes?
Uh-uh.
Are you sure your grandfather wasn't leaving his farm? Are you sure your grandfather wasn't a German that moved to Portugal around 1944?
No, he's like super dark. He would have been killed during Hitler's time. He wouldn't have made it past Hitler, honey. He wouldn't have made it past Hitler.
Okay.
Wait, are your eyes, are they green? They're more green than blue, right? Green?
They are green, yeah,
okay.
They're green.
They're beautiful.
If you
they're green. Hold on.
Look at my eyes. If you notice that mine are two colors, I don't know if I can get all these lights.
You have, what's it called? That's awesome.
I have symmetric heterochromia. So I have both my eyes are.
I feel like we're on our first date right now, kind of.
Yeah, both of my eyes are the color of your eyes. Your total eyes. The inside of my eye is that color. The outside of my eye is blue. So if I'm in a dark room, I have blue eyes. If I'm in a light room, I have brown eyes.
My sister dated this guy in college that had one brown eye and one blue eye. What do you call that?
What is that? Heterochromia. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's heterochromia too,
okay.
But that's asymmetric heterochromia.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Okay, y'all. Well, it's been real fun.
Yeah, very nice to see all of you.
I have to go.
Okay, I'm going to sign off. Good to see all of you.
Good to see you. Nice to meet everyone. Glad to be in the conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, all right. Good night.
Good night.